This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or an entire video dedication, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. This video is dedicated to Deja Shade. A huge shout out to Deja Shade for supporting the channel. Maelstrom Wanderer versus Seizan, Perverter of Truth. Partner commanders Bruse, Tarl, Boorish, Herder, along with Reyhan, last of the Abzan, and the dreaded Urza, Lord High Artificer. Hopefully it's not stacks, same as usual. And we can keep that. We've got green. We can make our way slowly up to... Oh, actually, we've got a turn 2 cultivate with Sol Ring, haven't we? So we're definitely going for that next turn. Okay, we managed to get into another land. That's good. So, do we want to go for... I think we're alright to go forest into Sol Ring into cultivate next turn. So let's just get down the top here. You never know. Someone might have an answer for a Sol Ring on turn 1. Looking over here at this player mainly. Obviously what we could have done there is played the Sol Ring and then played and spun the Sensei's top, but I'm not looking to go too crazy too early on. Don't want a load of eyes on us, although that's probably how I should play it in Maelstrom Wanderer. A Mind Stone coming down from the Seizan player. So let's just go in for Sol Ring and then we'll get this cultivate on the go. And then we'll put a stop on the upkeep as well, just in case we want to spin Sensei's Divining Top. Currently thinking of just going for Gilded Lotus, to be honest. Take a red and a blue, put red into play tapped. And we're already looking pretty good for getting our Maelstrom Wanderer out quite quickly. And Overgrown Tomb being shocked in over here into a Farseek. So pretty much everyone's ramping, just not as well as we are. I think it's about 60% of the deck is ramp. Before I forget to mention, we've got a patron of the channel, Go Batman, going for Urza. And then a couple of internet randoms with the partners and Seizan over here. And just deciding to fix some mana. And getting started already, Liliana's Caress coming down from Seizan. So we're not having our hands filled up by him yet, but the discard is already on the way. Now we can go for a spin on the top and then still go in for Gilded Lotus into Kadama's Reach. So let's see what we want to draw. We might actually not want to Kadama's Reach and shuffle things away. Alright, from that we'll go in for Arcane Signet. So let's play the island that we went for last turn. And that comes down nice and quickly. So let's go down for Kadama's Reach as well, and hopefully our rocks will stay in play until next turn. We'll go for... Yeah, just in case we lose our basic green source, we'll go for a green and a red. Put the red into play. And we're looking pretty good there now. Coalition Relic for Urza. And then putting a charge counter onto that. Abzan Falconer coming down from the Junk player. So they're obviously going for a plus counter theme, which... seems pretty obvious when you've got Reyhan in the command zone. And down comes the first commander of the game, Seizan, Perverter of Truth. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses 2 life and draws 2, so we're going to have to be careful how we stack the top of the library here. Oh, actually, no, that doesn't replace... Oh, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, we could have saved ourselves some mana there. We're just going to draw everything here. Yeah, I thought it was draw 1 extra card, thinking that it was 2 at the beginning of the turn, including our draw step, but no, that's obviously not the case. Which is a shame, really, because we could have gotten into a free Jace the Mind Sculptor and Blatant Thievery. But anyway, not to worry, let's go in for the forest, and Yeah, we should have waited on the Sensei's top until now. So that's 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we can still do it. Can we go for the Arcane Signet first? Yeah, I think we can. So we'll try again. Alright, let's go Nature's Law on first. Then we can go Soul of the Harvest and Chromatic Lantern. They are the two cards that we're going to cascade into. So we obviously know what's going on here. We get into Chromatic Lantern, which is good because we can spin the wheel at the end of our opponent's turn. And then we get Soul of the Harvest, and does that trigger on entry? Yes, it does, so we can actually spin the top yet again. Yeah, and then plan what we actually draw into here. So let's go for... Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? Let's go Rootbound Crag, Command Beacon we can draw next turn, and then we'll get into Nature's Law so we can shuffle that stuff. Now then, let's see where we want to swing. We can offer our services up to Seizan there, and then go in at Urza with that one. And Seizan is not going to block us there, so everyone's going to be drawing a few more cards. The third commander of the game, Urza, coming down and bringing the Construct with him. And then going in for Ethereum Sculptor as well. Plenty of combos you can play off of that. And tapping that down with Urza. Already making use of Urza's ability, going in for Everflowing Chalice with 1 charge counter on it. Now the question is, do we want to use Hull Breach to get rid of an artifact here? We can certainly blow up Liliana's Caress with the Hull Breach. Okay, going after Traxos or Gilded Lotus sounds like a good idea. But just like that, Urza has completely turned things around. Forgotten Ancient for the Abzan player, and I was just totaling up the mana. I think we'll have one spare if we go for Hull Breach, the Mind Sculptor, and Blatant Thievery, actually. Then the Abzan Falconer is coming in at us. And Urborg coming down over here, which is good. I think we've got Ancient Tomb in this deck. But we've got plenty of fetches as well. And it gets us around the life loss from something like a Waterlogged Grove. Now a Mind Slicer. When it dies, each player discards their hand. That's going to make it more difficult to get into the black player. Might be worth a Blatant Thievery onto this, actually. Then Seizan's coming in at us as well. And this is exactly why I included the new Spear from the new Theros set, because it gives lifelink. And whenever you run Maelstrom Wanderer, you're going to paint a target on your forehead, because it's a very powerful deck. So we obviously draw into the lands that we knew were on top. And then another land for us. Not going to bother spinning the top because I know we've got Jace the Mind Sculptor coming down this turn. So let's try going for Jace. Then we'll just go in for a Brainstorm and try and get rid of some of these lands. Alright, that's some good stuff. So let's go Command Beacon on top, and we can put Forest on top as well. Then play Rootbound Crag. And then we're okay to go in for Nature's Law here, so let's shuffle those things away. Because Nature's Law effectively only costs 1 mana. Just play out a Tiger here. Just playing out a Tiger, and then we can go Blatant Thievery and hope that this sticks. We'll steal Urza away. We'll get the Forgotten Ancient, and we'll take that Mind Slicer as well, so that we've got some more control over whether it dies or not. And then we're going in for a Hull Breach. And we will destroy, where is it, the Traxos and Liliana's Caress, and that should be our turn. So I might as well swing in with Mind Slicer because I'm not going to block with that. Go in at the black player with Maelstrom Wanderer because they've already got some commander damage. And I don't want to lose my hand to mass discard. Alright, a snuff out coming from the black player. Don't mind that one bit, because we get to recast our Maelstrom Wanderer. Would have liked to have put them onto 14 points of commander damage though, obviously. And then it's noteworthy as well that thanks to Urza, we can actually tap down our Sensei's Top for a blue mana, and then spin it with its own mana. But I don't think there's much point in doing that, thanks to Seizan still being in play. We'll have to just keep an eye on Seizan leaving the field. Now a Vidalcan Shackles coming down with 5 islands in play. So that's got Rexage written all over it. Alright, they're taking their own Urza back. There's worse things they could do with the Shackles. Guardian Idol coming down. Just lots and lots of mana entering play for Urza. And now it's a Spine of Ishsar. What do you go for with that? I'm thinking Jace the Mind Sculptor maybe, because they can't get this construct through at the moment, and that's exactly what they go for. Yeah, so some exile for this is going to be very useful. But I don't know if we have any in this deck. A Mana Dork from the partner player now, and then following things up with a Vamp Tutor. Underworld Dreams now with the nice new art from Theros. And that's a bad one to have in play with Seizan. We'll be losing even more life. That's 4 life at the beginning of every turn. Maegrim now as well, so they're getting into everything they need, really. Yeah, I think this mono black player needs to be recognised as a big threat at the moment. I think we're still the biggest threat, but Seizan doing some good stuff there. So there we go, losing some life to Underworld Dreams after drawing, the Shadow Spear. So it's a shame to lose Jace, because I would like to have put Bribery and Primeval Bounty on top, and then cast Maelstrom Wanderer, but anyway, let's put a bunch of plus counters onto the Soul of the Harvest, just because it has Trample. We'll take all the counters off of the Forgotten Ancient. And then we can spin the wheel now if we want to, can't we? Yeah, let's just go for it now. Alright, Zendikar Research, yeah. So I think the cards are actually laid out nicely for us already, but they're good things to get into with the Maelstrom Wanderer. Actually, I don't know if the Henge we're actually going to get into, because that's 8 mana. Or 9 mana? Soon find out, can't remember now. And then we're definitely getting down Sanctum of Eternity, so that we can bounce the Maelstrom Wanderer back to our hand whenever we want, as long as it's our turn at least. So Forgotten Ancient getting some counters, and we know we're getting into at least a Zendikar Resurgent. I don't think the Great Henge is going to come down because it costs too much. I'm misremembering how much it costs, but we'll soon find out. Yeah, go straight past the Stonehenge. So I still would have stacked it the same way because I wanted this land, but that actually works out nicely because it draws us a card with the Resurgent. And Forgotten Ancient still triggers because all this counts as casting creatures. But we definitely need to get rid of this black player. Let's get the... I'd like to go Rexage and play an equipped Shadow Spear this turn. We draw with Soul of the Harvest because the Sakura Tribe Elder came in as well. Then the Wanderer comes down and we will also draw from that. And we've got double mana from our Zendikar Resurgent now. Scroll Rack, that is really good. Now then, it looks as though some removal is coming down. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 mana available. So let's go Rexage because I want to get rid of something. I was going to point it over here, but as long as the Vidalcan Shackles stays tapped in order to keep them in an Urza, I think we can go for something else here. Why don't we go for that Maegrim instead? Okay, D-Spark coming down, and that is targeting the Zendikar Resurgent. So, do we care about keeping mana during our opponent's turns? I don't think we do. So let's just tap these down now. So our Resurgence getting exiled, but we're still getting some card draw from that. And then Rexage will get rid of Maegrim, I think. Now then, can we get rid of the black player this turn? We could actually... Yeah, if we get rid of the black player this turn, we can actually go for some mana over here. Oh, let's just get rid of the shackles, actually, and try and get rid of the black player without pointing any Rec Sage targets at them. So we get Urza back. We've got Dockside Extortionist now as well. Well, we definitely want to get down... Yeah, let's get down the Dockside Extortionist, because there's a lot of artifacts in play. We get 10 treasure tokens there, and we draw a card as well. Let's go for Shadow Spear now. In fact, no, let's go Primeval Bounty first, because we'll get more value that way. Then we'll go for Shadow Spear in an attempt to gain some life. And we'll put some plus counters on... Yeah, we'll try and pile up plus counters on Soul of the Harvest, just so that we're more likely to take out this black player. So we've got exactly 21 there. We don't have Trample on the Maelstrom Wanderer though. So if we put the Shadow Spear onto our commander, we won't gain as much life, but we will trample through for lethal. So I think we should do that. Oh, and what am I thinking? We don't have to sacrifice the treasure tokens, do we? We can tap them down with Urza. Yeah, there we go. You don't often get many treasure tokens with Urza, I wouldn't have thought, but I haven't played him very much, so sacrificing the treasures for no reason there. Alright, now then, let's go through to combat, and I'm just going to take everything in at the black player. And then we can leave some chump blockers back. Yeah, so let's go in at... Yeah, we'll go in at Urza with that. Really wanted to put the spear onto this thing because we'd gain a bunch of life, but I mean, we're gaining 8 life here and hopefully getting rid of a player, so that should be okay for us. So the black player goes down to -3, that Mind Slicer goes down, and then we're just going to make use of Urza. We're all at a fairly even life total here. Oh, and does the Seizan, and our commander went down as well. We'll tap down a treasure and get this scroll rack into play. Put some plus counters on the Reclamation Sage, and we'll get this Coalition Relic into play as well. Just going to pile up a bunch of plus counters onto the Rec Sage because I'm going to give it lifelink with the Shadow Spear so that we're less likely to have anyone swing into us. Tap down the Shadow Spear for mana and then equip it to the Reclamation Sage. Doesn't matter if an equipment is tapped. And I think that's us done here. So yeah, wasted a few treasure tokens there before I realised what we could do with Urza. But I don't think it really matters all that much at this point. We're in a pretty commanding position. Thran Dynamo for Urza. Then a Karn, which isn't the Karn with removal, thankfully. Now, revealing the top 2 cards of the library, and they have chosen what I'm sure is their partner at this point. It's probably an arch-enemy game that we're playing now. And I don't know... Oh, they were given the Tezzeret, so the Thought Vessel is in exile. Tezzeret comes down in the hope that they can find an answer. And it's 3 loyalty counters being removed from Tezzeret, so they can get an artifact straight into play with CMC 3 or less. And it is Ensnaring Bridge. So, do we have a means of bouncing our Rec Sage or removing that somehow? We've got Decimate, I think, but we'd have to point Decimate at some of our stuff, because there aren't many enchantments in play. So it may well be time to go all in at Urza as well. But we'll obviously have to get rid of this thing first. Only 1 card in Urza's hand. Archangel of Thune for the counters player. Yeah, I think we've got a little bit of time here. They've really struggled on mana. And they're not doing anything too incredible at the moment. So I think the person to focus on is definitely Urza. So with that, let's put a charge counter on here. And we can tap down Sensei's Top for mana and go in for Scroll Rack. And we're going to put our entire hand on top just to get rid of a bunch of lands. So the lands go on first. Then we'll go Bribery, and if we decide to cast Ethereum Horn Sorcerer, then we can cascade into Bribery off of that. We'll put a bunch of plus counters onto the Soul of the Harvest again, because I'm hoping that we can get into some kind of answer with the Bribery for that Ensnaring Bridge. Of course, we're not going to cascade into this if we draw into it, are we? Well, anyway, let's go in for this. That can just be red. I don't think it really matters. And how much is our commander? That is 11. So I think we've got more than enough to try and do the things we want to do. Gain some life for landfall. And let's go in for the Maelstrom Wanderer. So we know one of the cards that we're getting into, we will get a Beast token. And it's more counters on the Forgotten Ancient. It's actually been really good in this deck, so might actually have to include it. Let's go Bribery, and they've got a Reclamation Sage or removal of some kind. I mean, they had D-Spark, so I'm going to assume that they run removal. Put some plus counters onto... We'll put them onto Dockside Extortionist to spread some threats around. Oh, and I nearly passed there. Do you see how Modo has loaded the library up right behind the stack? Oh, I nearly pressed done there. Alright, what have we got here? It's Reclamation Sage I want pretty much. Oh, they don't run Reclamation Sage. That is shocking. Any kind of artifact removal? Ah, there we go. There's a Night of Autumn. Took me a while to find it, but that's exactly what we want. Yeah, I was surprised they didn't have a Reclamation Sage there. So we'll draw from the Night of Autumn. And actually, in response to Night of Autumn, we can spin the top on Sensei's Top, can't we? So let's do that now. We'll tap it for mana. And this will just help us to decide the cascade that we get into. Oh, of course, we've got a bunch of lands on top, haven't we? I should have shuffled with Sakura Tribe Elder first. Oh well. Let's do that now, actually. Just get into a forest. I don't think it matters. And actually, is there anything in our hand that we just want to go in for? Why don't we just go for the Scroll Rack? I know it's anticlimactic of a Scroll Rack, but why don't we actually put that Ethereum Horn Sorcerer on top, like I first thought we were going to. Okay, so Ensnaring Bridge goes down. Oh, and we draw back into the Ethereum Horn Sorcerer. Wow, I can't deal with stacks apparently. Alright, we'll just cascade into something random. Alright, Diluvian Primordial. I don't know how many instants and sorceries have really been played this game. Alright, I'm going to go for the Diluvian Primordial first on the stack, and we'll go for Vamp Tutor. Draw a card. We can tutor something on top. And then Diluvian Primordial does have flying. It will have haste, so I'm thinking we might be able to take out a few players here, or get really close to it at least. We'll put Nazal on top just for the fun of it. Draw into Nazal. And how's about we get Kiki Jiki going as well? Huge shout out to my opponents for sitting through this. It's turned into a solitaire game. And we will make ourselves a copy of the Reclamation Sage. And we'll get rid of that construct. Just so that we don't have to swing in as much damage to them. And how's about that Acidic Slime as well, so that we can not be chump blocked. Although we don't need to worry about chump block if we just go for Soul of the Harvest there. So let's put the Spear on there. And then we'll finally go through to combat. That goes in at go-go. And then pretty much everything else goes in at the tokens player, or the counters player I should say. Alright, the Avacyn's Pilgrim is blocking the big Rex Sage because it doesn't have trample. Abzan Falconer going on to Maelstrom Wanderer. Again, doesn't have trample. No idea if I've got enough damage on the counters player here. Archangel of Thune will gain them some life, and that's going on a token. So we'll see what occurs here. Oh, just about managing it with -1 onto the counters player there. So huge shout out to my opponents. We go up to 66 thanks to the spear. Yeah, I wasn't sure about including this, but I did want to include a little bit of life gain because I knew that we'd become a target, as you probably should if you're a Maelstrom Wanderer player, because it can be quite an obnoxious commander, as we showed today. So big shout out to GoGo for playing with me today. He's a patron of the channel, so I'll be sure to thank him. And the two randoms on Magic Online were actually great fun to play with as well. There was no saltiness or anything in this game, so big thank you, and apologies for the solitaire game, but I'm sure if you've clicked for a Maelstrom Wanderer game, then you've thoroughly enjoyed this one, I hope. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up if you did, and hit subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest content. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.